What's to be known here is that the utility of Genius is that you can use your Genius to transact, and you can use your Genius to earn more Genius, to earn more of the Genius rewards. And that is fundamental to this working as a store of value and competing in the store of value industry. Store of value industry is massive. The white paper says more than 20 trillion. It's more than 25 trillion US dollars. That's the store of value industry. A lot of people don't know what a store of value is anyways. It's like, I guess you can call your bank a store of value, but some way that we store something that's valuable to us, right? It's pretty abstract, but if you don't understand what it is, you'll get it. So you see, with here's the thing. There are, I think, 6 functions in the Genius smart contract where you can run these functions, and when you execute these functions yourself, you are rewarded with 10,000 Genius, like the official Genius token. And the official Genius has not been launched yet, but whatever the price of that is, 10,000 Genius at least every day will be given to whoever runs this function. There'll be a race to that. So what you're going to find is, in the Ethereum world, now some of you might be familiar with miner extracted value. It happens all the time on Uniswap, and it is super annoying. It's very annoying. It's sad. If you know what MEV, miner extracted value, is, I feel sorry for you, because I know what it is from what's happened to me. But sort of like this miner extracted value, what it means is it's really only something that the Ethereum miner can reasonably do. And what they do is they inject a transaction into the Ethereum block that they as a miner had just validated and broadcasted to the Ethereum network. And so since they can control and put whatever they want into that transaction, they can do things like query Aave, aave.org, I think, app.aave.org or aave.com. Yeah, I don't even remember the domain. Let me see. It's going to bug the heck out of me. Aave.com. So, they can do a flash loan. Is it even called a flash loan? I don't remember. It's been so long since I've dealt with this stuff. But they can get a really quick, immediate loan that happens only within one transaction. And they pay that loan back in one transaction. And so, yeah, this is in a simple nutshell what happens. So, all right, if I've lost you, let me bring you back to let you know that this functionality that Genius has, this is going to be an extra incentive for Ethereum miners. Ethereum miners are going to be able to extract more value from the work that they're doing by up to 4 times a day, and potentially many more than 4 times a day, running Genius smart contract functions. Now, by running these functions, they get the reward of 10,000 Genius per function. Well, not every function is that much, but the point is, this is a mechanic, a Genius mechanic that will save people on gas fees. Now, I know you're all, like, with Ethereum, a lot of you are fed up with gas fees. A lot of you Hex users, for example, who, I mention the Hex users because Hexicans will understand this. What that translates to is, imagine ending a stake with Hex, a stake that's a year old or 2 years old, and you see that it's going to cost you anywhere between anywhere between like $100 to $1,000, and you're just like, oh my god, no. That's like the value of my whole stake. And this has happened to so many people who are waiting for Pulse Chain. And Pulse Chain release, stop working on ripping things out of the EVM. Like, you can do that later. You can totally do that later. So Hexicans really feel the pain there. But ultimately, what these miner functions look like, these mining functions look like, that Ethereum miners will be able to do, and Pulse Chain validators will be able to do, and Binance Smart Chain miners will be able to do, is run this functionality, and then gas costs will be significantly less. Significantly less. For example, the ending stake functionality for Hex, imagine if instead of it being $1,000, it was $100. Or imagine instead of it being $100, it's $10. It's a lot more reasonable. So Genius is going to have significantly less gas fees. than if you were to compare it to hex. Which I do want to say, a lot of people keep asking about or a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I do hear hexagons often say like, hey, what's the difference between hex and genius? Or hey, genius seems to be a copy of hex. I want to be very clear and say genius is not a copy of hex. It's nowhere near shape, form, anything a copy of hex. Earlier, the similarity is that they use time as a weight to get so that their end users can get a piece of the rewards pool. The rewards pool is, as you all know, from Bitcoin. It is a similarity that Genius and Hex share with Bitcoin. Another similarity is that Genius and Hex, they are smart contracts. They are ERC-20s. So they share that similarity with every of the thousands of ERC-20s out there. And the last similarity is that Genius and Hex both use time as a weight to determine how much of a share you get in the rewards pool. All right, so I think I lost my place there a little bit, but another item that we got here is, let's see what we got. Okay, cool. So, at first everyone's going to have a chance to run these functions and make their 10,000 genius. Inevitably, this is going to be programmed to be part of mining software because it gives miners more value, which is cool. So first, there's a function in the smart contract that summarizes all miner rewards for prior days or for a prior period of time. This is similar with Hex because when you work with time weight, especially in a smart contract environment, you can't just do all of your calculations per transaction. You have to incrementally do these calculations. You have to incrementally do these transactions to save on gas costs. So first function is for the miner who summarizes the mining rewards for the prior day or days. Gets 10,000 genius per day. The second, third, and fourth functions they're given to the the miner or the person who calls the smart contract function to summarize all miner rewards for the prior 10, 100, or 1,000 groups of days. And these functions are available every 10, 100, or 1,000 days, respectively. What does that mean? That means every 10 days, there's a function to look at days, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, and then aggregate or summarize like the payout, the share rate payout, like how much genius everybody gets per share that they have of the reward pool. Hope that's not too many details, but these are just extra ways where there are incentives for others to help genius save on gas costs for the end user. If you want to know more information about this, look in the section below. There is a link to the white paper. It's geni.to/smart contract. That'll bring you right to the Google Docs document. And you can find out more information about this in the Genius Calendar section. All right, furthermore, there are some cleanup functions that need to be done. And a lot of the functionality that I mentioned earlier, this functionality does get called by somebody who is ending their mining. If it has to. And if the functionality does get called, the person who's ending their mining gets extra genius, gets the 10,000 extra genius for doing these functions. So that's cool. But chances are they won't have to do those functions because somebody will call it before them, so they save on gas. But here, there are some other cleanup functions. One is called release shares, and that's in the LEM reward section, LEM penalties. LEM stands for late end mining. And so, so this release shares function, go read about that, but basically the person who calls the late shares function, the release shares function, anybody can call this function. You get all of the accumulated fees for like the late penalties for that Genius Miner. So that's like pretty sweet. I mean, who knows how much that could be.